Welcome to the introduction of our first module, or our first section of this module, which is to familiarize ourselves with the ATMEGA328P microcontroller, which we'll be using extensively throughout the semester. So our intention here in this very first section is for you to really ground yourself in the basic skills and tools that you will need to work with this microcontroller, but then also to actually work with the microcontroller. So you will start by sort of just familiarizing yourself with what this microcontroller is and what it can do. We will look at the architecture and the different features. I will show you how to use the input-output ports, because there's very specific ways in which we now have to do that, which is different to what you've covered in your previous microcontroller, the 8051. Then we will also look at how you write programs specifically for the ATMEGA using now a new compiler environment, which is Atmel Studio. Now, you've previously worked on Kyle. Here we are going to work in Atmel Studio, which is a new platform, and we will write all of our programs in Atmel Studio. And then this is going to give you sort of a basis or a foundation to show you how you can now, at a later stage, use the ATMEGA so that you can then apply it in various contexts with various different devices. So the desired outcomes basically that we're aiming for here in the bigger picture is how do we use the ATMEGA so that we can interface it with peripheral circuits. That's the bottom line of what you want to know, is how do I use it, how do I program it, how do I speak to it, and how do I allow this then to speak to other devices and perform the functions I need it to perform. And then further is to really understand the architecture and the preferences of this microcontroller. Now, what I mean by the architecture and preferences is how do we move data around between the various, and it has so many internal components that it is really a powerful microcontroller. And we want to understand that architecture so that we can know how do we use these various components and move data around. And then also, when I say preferences, it's specific ways in which we have to speak to the microcontroller when you program it, when you write the code for it. There's preferences, and if you don't follow those preferences, your code will come up with errors, or sometimes it doesn't even pop up with an error, it simply just doesn't work. So that's why the preferences also is what we will really, it's one of the outcomes we will focus on, is how must I speak to this controller. Now, how will we do this? How will we study this? Well, we are going to start with some theory lessons that will give you an overview of this controller. Then we're going to go into examples, and I will show you some examples, how you use it, just physically, what the layout is of this controller, what pins will do what, and where you'll find your ports and stuff like that. But there will be examples for that, and you are then also going to ultimately build practical experiments using this microcontroller. And then our agenda, rules, roles, and times, this is basically, we'll spend between 1 and 2 weeks on this, because in total we've got 9 video lectures that covers the basics all the way through to the more complicated examples. Now, you will do some exercises that you will, there are some exercises here that you will complete, and some self-directed study that just forces you to familiarize yourself further with the ATMEGA. So my roles will be to provide you with the guidance on terms of which videos, because all of the videos for this whole module has been pre-recorded, and by myself, and I will now then tell you on which days to watch which videos based on that, and on a schedule that I will keep you to. And then I will also be available then for the Q&A sessions and any questions that you have. But I will keep you to the timeline so that you work through these videos. And then your role will be to watch the actual on-demand videos, to practice the examples, to attempt the problems, and then at the end to complete the compulsory quiz. Now when I say compulsory quiz, I mean all of the quizzes from all of the different sections of this module will count towards your final mark. So don't neglect the quizzes, because not only will they count towards your final mark, they also unlock the next section of the work. So you must do the quiz of, let's say, section 1 before you can access any of the videos of section 2. So that's just one of the fun features of this course, is you sort of work to unlock, and as you work you unlock the next section of the work. So your next steps would be to, from here, to proceed on to watching video lecture number 1, do the practice examples as they come up. There's always discussions available for the content. That's why we have a WhatsApp group, and then we will have contact Q&A sessions as we also progress through the module. So I hope that you have fun, because there's a lot of potential for fun in this module. So get going, get started, head over to video lecture number 1 and start getting your hands dirty with this content, and start getting busy with it. And then I'll see you as we progress.